Okay. Well, I'd like to call the Willington Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission meeting for October 25th, 2001 to be in session. There are all of the members that we have available are here. And we have apparently no new applications to be received. So we will move on to approval of the minutes for the last two meetings, I believe it is, which we got as emails. I read him.
I read the September 27th minutes and the July 26th,
Right. Those are the
2021 minutes, and I have nothing to change on those. So I make a motion to approve the minutes from the September 27th, 2021 and the July 26th, 2021 minutes as is.
Your moment of glory, Mark.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, now that they're seconded, is there any other discussion of these minutes? Then we will put them up for a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes the way they are? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We have a unanimity.
Mm.
Okay. We can move on to D on the agenda. There are no public hearings open, so we don't have to deal with that. E is new business, which is IW 2111 selective timber harvest with wetland disturbance at 0 Clint Eldridge Road. Owner Clint and Elna Eldridge, applicant James Halloran. And should we deal with these? We have to deal with them separately, even though they are all connected. If you look at the map at the bottom of the PDF, Mike, can you put them up on the board for us?
Yep, you want the map?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
So that was my question, because I didn't see any of the attachments associated with the inland wetlands application, just the timber harvest applications. I wasn't sure.
We have them, I mean, they come in together, but the applications are related in our system, but I didn't download 2 copies of the same stuff. So I believe I grabbed everything from the application, but I think the applicant is here, so hopefully he can elaborate. Let me share that.
Yep, his name is here. And here's the map. So this map covers both parcels, which I believe together are about 25 acres.
So what's associated with this application here? Which tract of land? Is it this most northerly or the southern tract?
It's the southern track.
Okay.
That's the tract that surrounds the pond.
Yes.
And you've got a landing for it right there where the dam is.
Yeah, there's actually a woods road that drives up to the dam that we would be using as a landing.
Right. And so the other piece, the one that we're not dealing with first, is the small piece that's just north of the barn.
Yes, it's the top of the page. Yep, right
Right.
there. Yep.
This is what we're dealing with, where your hand is, Mike?
No, you're dealing with the southern piece where the third bridge crossing is.
Mhm.
Okay. So how are you gonna access that landing?
There's a gate there and there's a road that Clint Eldridge actually uses to get up to the pond.
Okay,
Right. Driven past it many times.
Yep, he actually uses it quite a bit during the summertime when they go up in there.
now what I thought was interesting is that in the first sentence of the documentation is that there's a landowner that showed interest of having a timber harvest. I don't know if that's privy
Well-
to this conversation, but
Well, in the beginning, it should have been the opposite. He should have flipped them. Basically, the first piece, the northern piece, we had signed with the landowner the first time, and we laid that all out. And then I actually asked Clint himself if he was interested in doing a thinning on his side, and he said yes, seeing as we were doing that piece.
Right.
That's the reason why Clint decided to log his property. Out of the 27 acres, there's about 7.5 to 8 acres of that we're going to be cutting. So it's a very small piece. It's the backside of the pond, and it's 7 to 8 acres there that we'll be doing a thinning on.
By the way, Carl, I'm probably remiss on this, but could you state your name and your interest in this for the record?
Yep, Carl Riando and Sons Logging. I am doing this for James Halloran. He's on vacation right now. He is a certified forester. I asked him to do this for me, get it set up because there was some wetlands crossings and stuff like that, and I was very busy doing other jobs. So he actually got this all set up for me, and I'm actually going to present it to you because he's on vacation this week.
Right. Now, the Eldridges own all of this property, is that correct?
No. Eldridge owns the southern half of it, and the other half.
New mayor?
James Halloran,
Hmm.
who owns the other piece.
Richard, it's Richard Newmayer.
Well, sorry. All right. I apologize. Richard Newmayer owns the 26.6 acres on the northern side of it.
Right.
Okay, so how this came to be was, just explain to us, like, so the new mayor was looking to do his, and then
Yeah,
Eldridge
first of all, I purchased Newmar's property and he wanted to log his property. So basically, if we back up and we go back to his piece first, we set up his property with a landing out on Clint Eldridge Road. And we put in our main skid trails and our water crossings. I can read a little thing that James wanted me to present to you. It says, description of this timber harvesting. This woodlot was logged approximately 30 years ago. The operation will be a follow-up thinning to allow more sunlight and nutrients to reach younger and suppressed trees. Mature and poor form trees have been selected to be harvested. The woodlot will be reassessed in another 15 to 20 years for a regeneration cut. there are poorly drained soils presented on this parcel. Trees felling will be excluded in these areas. Situated poorly drained soils, the main skid trail has been flagged and will be utilized the highest and direct route. There is a seasonal drainage. Oops, am I on the right one? Yeah, that's right. There is a seasonal drainage that is surrounded by poorly drained.
We lost you, Carl.
Sorry about that. Back up here. The crossing points is currently flagged. The timber bridge mats will be placed over drainage routes as well as poorly or pole timber corduroy leading up to this 20 feet or more from each end of the crossing. This will keep machines off the ground in areas where sensitive soils can experience disturbance. A stream crossing is planned over Eldridge Brook, which now we might not be using that stream crossing because Clint is letting us use his property. We can access that timber without actually crossing number 2, bridge crossing. So we can eliminate that one. He actually put it in there because we were planning on not using Clint's property, but since Clint let us use it, that's what we were planning on doing. The crossing is planned with flag for flattest available entrance points along the stream on both sides of the crossing, and the land generally accessed in higher and drier areas in which the skid trail will continue. No trees will be felled within 15 feet of Eldridge Brook, and any tree harvesting within 15 to 30 feet of the brook will not be removed more than 50% of the current corduroy cover of the brook.
Thank you for explaining that a little bit, but I think we need to get back on each individual permit here. So we're looking at this one specific application for the wetlands for this, like, I would call it the southern parcel.
Yeah, well, it says on the bottom of the Eldridge property. And the other one
Right.
says Newmare property. So we can call them that.
All right, so for the Eldridge property associated with this application, we still have a wetland crossing at number 3 here as illustrated on the map,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Now, do you plan on accessing any of that northeastern portion of the property and harvesting over there on that other side of the pond from the landing?
Yes, we're going to be accessing the back side of the pond, the northern section of the pond.
I'm talking about the northeast.
Beside the
Bob-
parallels Clint Eldridge
Eldridge Road.
Road.
No, none of that. Sorry, none of that will be done. That's all fenced in for his farm animals.
Okay, so everything kind of west
Correct.
to the pond.
Correct.
Okay, and then, so from your description, you said you're using what, timber mats?
Yes,
Or-
we're going to use bridge timber mats to cross number 3 here. Basically, I can read what he put in here for that particular application.
Can you explain to the commission what, I'm familiar with the timber mats because I'm
Yeah, they're a mat that's a 6x8 mats laminated together. They're actually bolted together. They're 4 feet wide, 16 feet long. We basically, we lay them down, so we drive over them. We corduroy from one end to the other end, 15 to 20 feet, so that we drive on top of them, so we're not disturbing the brook whatsoever. We're not skidding the wood, we actually carry the wood. So we will be driving over them.
And is that a best management practice in the
Yep.
forestry guide?
Yes, in the forestry guide it is. Corduroy and bridge mats are the best forms of crossing a brook or a stream.
And why is that?
It actually keeps, so there's no disturbance whatsoever to the ground. And it doesn't create any erosion going into any of the brooks or streams.
Do you plan on using the timber mats for the entire logging road, or?
No, to cross the wetlands areas and the brook areas is what we were planning on using the mats for. The rest of the property is high and dry, that we can access it with no problem at all. That's the upland review areas.
So you're using forwarders for this,
Correct. Yep.
and you're going to, when you get the Eldridge property finished up to the red line there, you're going to go beyond that to crossing 2 and take the wood off of there and stack it in a different spot, so that at the landing down there at the south end of the property, you can separate one man's wood from another.
Correct. What our objectives are is we're going to be taking, or number 3 crossing is, instead of crossing number 2, which that's what we put it in there in the beginning because we were only going to do that one particular property. But now that Clint is giving us permission to log his section, what I was planning on doing was taking and skidding all the way up to the brook on the other parcel. So up to number 2, and not using that as a bridge crossing whatsoever, and taking all that wood out Clint Eldridge's property, and then coming in from the other property, coming down to that brook. So we're not crossing that brook at all. It would make it a lot easier and a lot nicer.
So you're going to eliminate a crossing?
Right, we're gonna eliminate number 2. It's basically what we're gonna do now because we have Clint's property, which is gonna save. You're definitely not gonna get any erosion or any impact whatsoever on that brook, and it's a pretty well flowing brook, so it will actually work out better by Clint letting us use his property to take it out on.
Right, and that space there, then that space between Eldridge Brook and the red line that separates Eldridge property from what's his name's property is about, it looks to be about 3 acres or 4 acres.
Yeah,
that
it's about 4 acres. Yep, it's about 4 acres in there that we'll be doing a thing on that particular piece and taking it out through Clint Eldridge's property.
Okay, because that's the only reason we have to look at these 2 together, is because
Yep.
part of that other wood is coming out through the Eldridge property. But the landing is probably big enough to handle that there, as I recall.
Yes, it is. Yep. And wood will be taken out pretty much daily out of that landing area anyway, so. As the wood comes in, the wood's gonna be removed off the property.
Okay,
Now, these are pretty well-established woods roads.
Yes, they've been in there for quite a long time. Actually, Clint's grandsons, use it quite a bit with their quads.
Mhm.
And they actually got it pretty well maintained and beaten down, especially on Clint's property.
What's the topography like?
It slightly goes down to the pond, and it's higher on the west side of the property than it is towards the pond. but it's a kind of a rolling property. It's fairly flat down by the pond and it slightly goes uphill. But the terrain isn't steep, that's for sure. It's not steep at all back there.
All right.
Just so you guys know, I deal with these timber mats that they're gonna be using for the crossing on a regular basis, and it is one of the best management practices, even better than them setting corduroy into the stream. It's actually gonna be almost a bridge. Would that be right, Mr. Rando?
Yes, we'll actually put a couple of logs if we need to raise it up. We put a couple of logs underneath the bridge and then corduroy up to it. So that this way here, the bridge is completely out of the water. Yep, this
Yeah,
is
you
one
can
of
see
them
there,
that's just
yeah.
showing right here. This is a very good,
So there's really no impact to the stream bank itself. It's really elevates itself and gives them a clean road
yeah, clean access right across it.
access. So that's been my experience with it, and it's very successful. I like that you included that and thought of that.
Yep. Makes it give you guys a better picture of it.
And it makes your life easier too when you pull it up. You have no restoration really to do.
Correct.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this?
So did you plan on harvesting trees within the wetland kind of mapped areas here on this bottom near 3?
Yeah, where number 3 is, where the bridge crossing is there. There's gonna be, we're only gonna take about 50% of the timber value out of there. So it's very narrow. It's not as wide as,
Yeah, what's
where she's got
depicted,
this
yeah.
blown up quite a bit. But it's probably on each side of that brook, it might be 20 feet wide, 15 to 20 feet wide, where the wetlands are in there. And with our equipment, we have 26 feet of reach. So we can reach in there, grab the stuff. So we're not even in there disturbing it whatsoever.
Okay.
And I think
Yeah.
you said you're not going to be doing any cutting within 15 feet of the stream itself, correct?
I think we're gonna be cutting within 15 feet of the brook. It's just we won't be taking out more than 50% of the crown cover that's there.
I think you said, when you read that thing, it said 15 feet of Eldridge Brook, but not the unnamed stream at number 3.
Yeah, it says no trees will be felled within 15 feet of Eldridge Brook, and any trees harvested within 15 to 30 feet of the brook will not remove more than 50% canopy cover. Okay.
Correct.
So,
And it looks like you plan on doing this in the winter, so that would be frozen conditions, so minimal ground will be frozen, hopefully.
Yep, we'll try to get it so it's conditions are at the best possible when we're logging it, so that we don't disturb any of the wetlands or the brook area.
any other questions? Mark, do you have any questions?
No,
I just have a quick question. You guys have a pretty, you're pretty comfortable with where that western property line is adjacent to crossing 3, because you've got homes down there that are pretty close and you don't want to get into any issues with people questioning the property line. So are you guys pretty comfortable with where that line is?
Well, the property line has been very well identified. Clint Eldridge actually has it fenced. He's got
Okay.
fencing going all the way across there, the whole length of it, all the way to the other adjacent property that we're going to be logging.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. It looks like, based on some of my measurements, that the closest house is probably 400 or so feet away. And so if nobody knows where the line is, people could start thinking it's my tree versus their tree. But if it's fenced, then that solves that problem.
Yeah, we actually found pins and everything out there, so
Perfect.
it's well
Yeah,
defined.
Clint Eldridge's house is the one down near the landing that's outside the red zone.
Correct. They've owned that property for quite a few years.
Hundreds.
Yep.
That's a good point, Mike. Thank you for bringing that up.
One of the very first property disputes I ever dealt with was someone who cut a tree that was on somebody else's property, and the opinion of the value of that tree was way more than I expected them to think it was worth. So I look at that, and people have a perceived perspective on where their properties end. But
I actually went and talked to the adjoining budding landowners on that
Perfect.
particular piece and let them know what was going on, and I marked the boundary lines. That's the best management practices, is once you get your boundary lines assessed, talk to all the abutting landowners, make sure that they're happy with the land that we marked. And so if they have any issues, we can get it straightened out before anything is being cut.
Perfect.
Excellent.
So a couple of things, so the property line being marked on that side was one of the things that I was interested in, making, I don't think we need to force them, but basically strongly encouraging they not use number landing or crossing 2 unless necessary. And then, not that it's really come up, but there was some harvesting done across the street. I don't know if he did it or somebody else, but we just want to make sure that if there's any wood that's stacking up at these landings as they get to Clint Eldridge, particularly as we get into winter, they've got to stay off the road a bit, because when they clear those roads in the snow, they need some of that space so they can get plows through and throw snow. And so as long as things don't pile up in the shoulders, I don't have any other questions or concerns on my end.
I'm pretty much satisfied with the presentation.
I am as well, and I believe, from what was presented, that they have a very good plan moving forward to minimize impacts to the brook and the wetland system there, with their best management practices that they presented, and look to use to conduct this harvest. So I would make a motion to approve application IW21-11 selective timber harvest with wetland disturbance at 0 Clint Eldridge Road. Owner Clint and Elna Eldridge, applicant James Halloran. I guess that would be parcel 17-016-00.
Okay, do we have a second for that? Is
I'll second that.
there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We've got another unanimous decision here. Okay, now the timber harvest for the same piece of property
The adjacent property.
is called TH 21-4 timber harvest.
That's for the same property.
It's the same property, yes, but we have to approve that as well.
So based on the information provided in the previous application, nothing's going to change. From what was presented, I believe the applicant has a very good plan, and I make a motion to approve application TH 21-4 timber harvest at 0 Clint Eldridge Road. parcel 17-016-0, owner Clint and Elna Eldridge, applicant James Halloran, per what was provided in the application.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We passed another one. We move on to IW 21-12, select timber harvest with the wetland disturbance at 0 Clint Eldridge Road, owner Richard Newmare, applicant James Halloran. So this is the part of this,
Yeah, this is the adjacent property.
right, the same, essentially the same harvest, different address.
Correct.
So, Mike, could you please bring up that map again?
Okay, can we slide that down a little bit?
Okay, so just explain, Mr. Rando, what your thoughts are for this property. Obviously, it's a little bit larger. You have a different landing zone. There are 2 crossings shown, but through the previous discussion, you said you were going to eliminate one of those crossings.
Yes, we're gonna eliminate 2. There's still gonna be, number 1 is still gonna be crossed with bridge mats and corduroy. We're gonna use that where the wettest part is with bridge mats, and then the rest of it's gonna be corduroy. This particular piece is also gonna be a thinning. The property was logged approximately 30 years ago. We're gonna be doing a thinning in there. And I'll read you, I believe I actually read the parcel, but I can read it again if you would like.
I don't think that's necessary.
All right.
No, I
Yeah,
think
this particular property is, it's got some areas that are slightly downhill to this wetlands. We will be, like I said, corduroying to it. The landing, will be out on Clint Eldridge Road. It's fairly flat there. We got a nice area that we can back the log truck in. We're gonna put a riprap road in, landing in with 2-inch stone, 2 to 3 inch riprap stone, 20 to 25 feet long, to back a truck in there. And basically where the wetlands are, we're gonna bridge it and corduroy it.
So obviously, I'm looking at this map, and in the northern section of the property, there's a lot more wetland mapped on this property, obviously. So in the northern section, that's almost all probably forested wetland there. And then just on the northwestern property line moving south, it looks like that may be some sort of stream channel there. That's off property, but that's going to this larger tract of wetland matching up with crossing number 1.
Correct. You are correct. It actually, the whole boundary line on the northwestern side borders the entire wetlands down there. And it kind of goes all the way up. And the northern part of it is a little wet up there, but there's not very much timber in there that's going to be thinned. We're going to stay on the inside of that wetlands property boundary line there to do a thinning in there. So inside that wetlands area, there's not a lot of timber at all. It's mostly soft maple and a lot of smaller growing trees.
Okay.
And so I presume, once again, your forwarder will reach in there as far as it can and not take anything beyond that.
Correct. Yep, with the 26 feet of reach, whatever we can get at, that's merchantable and that's usable. we will be taking out. But other than that, whatever we can't reach and it's too far in, it will stay there. So we're not disturb the wetlands.
That gives you an idea of the full sort of the full wetland area there.
On crossing one, about how much bridging do you expect to have to use?
We're gonna do probably 3 sets of bridges. They're 16 feet long on each side of it. So like 40 something feet.
All right.
And then the rest of it will be corduroy. Which will lead up to the bridges. There's one section in there that's it's a little bit wetter than we'd want to put corduroy down. So by using the bridges, it'll actually keep the disturbance completely off from it.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah, that minimizes the soil compaction and, just the tracking of the equipment right onto the bare soil.
right.
So did you plan on harvesting anything up in this this kind of elbow here, this just to the west of, yes, west of crossing one? That kind of expanse of wetland?
Yes,
Yeah, just a
yeah.
little bit further
Yeah, we
north
plan
there.
on, right where you're circling right there. Yes.
No, a little bit further north in this wetland area, Mike, a little further north. Yeah, right in there.
No, well, we will be reaching in from this side of it, to get what we can reach in, but that boundary line, you're in some pretty wetlands right there, kind of where the brook flows down, kind of crosses there. But it's pretty wet in there, and the trees that are in there, again, are very, very, very few of them that we'll be taking out of that area.
No
What did you guys
commercial
find there?
potential.
Just like red maples and some gray birch, or?
Yeah, you got red maple, some beech in there, some birch in there. There is actually some ash in there. The ash is pretty much being hit pretty hard from the ash borer beetle. Well, we will be taking that stuff out that we can reach in and get. But other than that, we're just gonna reach in as far as we can and get what we can and remove the stuff that's, accessible for our equipment to do it with without any disturbance, minimal disturbance to the wetlands.
Gotcha.
And so that section, the section below the ghost crossing, number 2, is all getting drawn the other way.
Correct. Now that we got access to Clint's property, yes, it'll all be taken out that way.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this? Could we entertain a motion?
Based on the information provided and what's in the application, I believe this is a very good plan. With minimal wetland disturbance and harvest within the wetland area. So I make a motion to approve application IW 21-12, selective timber harvest with wetland disturbance at 0 Clint Eldridge Road. Owner Richard Newmare, applicant James Holleron.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Another unanimous. So let's move on to item D, TH 21-5 timber harvest at 0 Clint Eldridge Road. owner Richard Newmeyer, applicant James Halloran. This is getting repetitive.
This is why we get paid the big bucks.
So don't even have to change the map.
No, so I think the big thing with this would be the landing piece, I guess. I don't know, like, so. Mr. Rando, you said it was gonna be, you're gonna construct this off the side of,
Yes, off the side of Clint Eldridge Road.
it's gonna be like gravel or something like that?
Yeah, it's flat there. It's a real good flat area. We'll be bringing in a triaxle or two, a load of stone. Lay it out there, bring it out to the edge of the road, so we're not disturbing the road and not creating any mud or any silt getting out onto the Clint Eldridge Road.
Like a tracking pad.
Correct, a tracking pad so that we can use that as a landing area, so we can bring the timber out to that and remove the timber from there.
So I don't really have any questions about this.
Neither do I. So based on the previous
Wait a minute.
information,
And Mike, did you have anything to say?
No, I was just looking, I don't see any issues with the landing, with where it's gonna be. There's
and they said they weren't gonna harvest anywhere north, but if you go north just a little bit, because there's a house right there along the property boundary in the wetland. So you didn't say you were gonna really get into that area, right, Mr. Rando?
Yeah, we're not going to. Yep. Like I said, we're just gonna reach in, we'll reach in with our equipment as far as we can go, and that's all we're gonna take out of that area.
Okay, because that house looks pretty big and pretty close to the property line there.
It is, it's within 25 to 30 feet of that property line.
Okay,
And I did talk to those people to let them know that we'll be doing a logging operation there. And they
Yeah.
said that they were satisfied with it.
and it looks like, most of this property boundary, I mean, you know where you're gonna be because there's like that stream and it looks like some definite topographic change going from north to south there.
Yeah, it's
Until you
very,
hit the
it's very,
wetland
it's
area.
very well defined. The whole property is well pinned and actually has fence around the whole western side of it. Whole western portion of it is very well marked with every corner that we found the pins on.
Okay,
So that property up there, that house is, they're actually the abutters, so they own that property wraps around and down towards that southern wetland system. They own a chunk of that, so they're.
Correct. Correct. That's why I actually approached them too and told them that all the boundary lines were marked and the pins were marked. If they had an issue, to please contact me. And their daughter, I saw their daughter out by the mailbox one day and she said, nope, her father went out there, looked at it and everything was satisfied.
of course, I believe if they did have an issue, they'd be here today, correct?
I would believe so.
Okay, is there any
All right.
more discussion about this one? You're getting
after
pretty good at these
discussion-
motions, Patrick.
After this discussion and what was presented, I would like to make a motion to approve application TH 21-5, timber harvest at 0 Clint Eldridge Road, parcel 17-014-00, owner Richard Newmeyer, applicant James Halloran.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we can move on to the next agenda item.
Hey,
Thank you very much,
Carl.
Mr. Rin.
Thank you very much, committee.
You did an excellent job.
We appreciate the work you're doing. Thank you.
Well, we will be seeing you again. I have another couple jobs that will be going on in town again.
Hey, Carl, if you could let us know when you guys get started, it might be worth at least me and staff going out and looking at these bridge mats, because if they work well and the commission likes them, it may be something we look to other people to implement. So I'd like to see them when they're in.
Definitely.
Just
Definitely.
let us know. And,
Yep.
and if the commission wants to go out and see too, we can, but I'd like to push people in that direction if you guys like that approach.
I think you're gonna find that if the people can get the bridge mats, it's really the way to go. It's probably one of the best for crossing brooks and wetlands areas.
Okay,
But
Very good.
thank you very much.
thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It really is, guys. It's, I see it all the time with some of the work I'm on. It's by far the best management practice out there. Besides building a real bridge, but
Using sky hooks.
something like that. Helicopters,
Helicopters, right? I've seen that.
I have too.
Looks very exciting.
Yeah.
So
Expensive.
I'm moving on to old business. I don't believe we have any. And so we'll go to correspondence.
I don't have any correspondence. Dave was in signing the Conservation Commission's, the letter for the Conservation Commission to submit their grant application for the open space grant that they came to this commission for a couple of months ago. And I found out today that the grant application deadline has been extended again. So it'll be November, but we got that all wrapped up. I don't have anything else on correspondence.
How did that go through? Wasn't there a town vote or meeting on that?
The open space grant?
Yeah.
I think that there
It
may
was like
have
an allocation of like
There was a town meeting
$100,000
on
or
it.
something like that.
Yeah, but that was for exploring the purchase. It wasn't actually towards the purchase. My wife could tell you more about that, but she's on the Conservation Commission. So staff report and discussion.
So I mean, I've left the update on Loves. They're pretty much at substantial completion of phase one. There were no major deviations or failures or anything during phase one. They are about to be underway with blasting, their blasting portion of the project. And I don't really think there's much else. I mean, Polster Road, if you haven't seen or heard, is closed at this point. And I don't think there's really anything else at this point that I can reference. We'll be getting a substantial completion statement from the engineer before they can start on phase two, so that we're comfortable that they're where they need to be. And other than that, I guess I would just mention that you'll see the fifth square on the screen is Chris Roberts. He's our new assistant land use agent. Dave met him last week, but he
Hi,
started.
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
He was with us last week and had to cover the office on his own, and he decided to come back. So we're happy about that.
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah.
Mike,
You
just
all.
quick question. Are you getting CC'd on their like SWIP reports and stuff like that? Their construction monitoring reports?
Yes. So they do daily site inspection and erosion and sedimentation control inspections. Every single day they do those, and at the end of the week they upload all of that to a shared folder that I have. So I have access to all of their reports. I have access to all of the reports that our clerk of the works every time they're on site. So we get those. They're really big documents, so we can't email them, but they do that daily.
Has there been any issue, like as far as with a lot of their earthwork or anything like that, like with deficiencies or blowouts?
There've been, the only issue that they had, which was not an issue related to installation or maintenance, but there was a point in which the clearing took place, that there was a section of the slope where water was sort of just bleeding out, and they had to stabilize it. It was nothing they could have prepared for, but they looked at it and they dealt with it. They doubled up the silt fence. They did a couple of other things, and there haven't been any failures where sediments made it past the erosion control structures.
Have you seen it, Mike?
I have seen it, but not in a, wait, the part that was bleeding out, or the site?
Just the site in general.
I have. It's been probably about 2.5 weeks, but yeah.
Yeah, because I went out there the other day, and that boulder retaining wall is quite impressive.
Yeah. It's, and if you're interested in getting on site, I mean, I'd be happy to try to coordinate that if you guys want to see it at some point.
I think I would like to see it if we can work it out.
Okay.
I mean, I would too, like, so this phase 2, is that where they're gonna be starting the leaching field between those wetlands in question?
I don't know the sequencing well enough to know at what phase those things are there for, but is that what you're most interested in, the construction of the SWAS?
I would be, because that was the most like critical.
Right, that whole section down below the retaining walls.
So,
Between-
all right, well, what I can do is I can shoot them a note and just say, the commission's interested in it, just seeing the sort of construction when it gets to that point, and I'll have them let me know, and we can coordinate a site walk based on that.
That would be good.
Yeah,
I will keep you posted on that.
okay, appreciate.
Because, and then did they get that that secondary kind of like containment area, that like kind of that stormwater kind of retention area?
The basin,
Yes.
I imagine that is probably part of phase 1, because the phase 1 is most of the earthwork and getting that done. But I know that they couldn't construct all of it because that would preclude their access to the SWAS area. So I know that they're doing a lot of that rough grading, but I believe the basin is like southwest of where the SWAS is. So I think that they're going to need to wait to finish it, would be my guess. But
Yeah, because I believe their intent was like have some of that runoff coming from downhill to kind of bypass and infiltrate into that detention basin, if I
Yeah,
remember correctly.
yeah, somehow hopping over the filtration for the septic system and getting into the detention basin.
Yes.
the last project report, based on our daily site visits and the condition of the linear hay bale, silt fence barriers, detention basins, and slope stabilization maps, we feel that ENS measures are satisfactory for phase 2 construction to begin. The contractor has been preparing the phase 2 area for vertical construction of the store and fueling canopies. Excavation, grading, utility installation, and work on Polster will continue this month. Specifically to wetlands, Fuss and O'Neill scientists collected water quality samples on October 6th and inspected the site's ENS controls specifically for wetlands. A second row of hay bales has been added to the limit of work, where the intermittent stream discharges through the barrier protection. Following the installation of the second row of hay bales, inspection and installation was observed that no sediment transport from the intermittent streams gone through the barrier. So that was as of the end of last week.
Okay.
So I'll follow up with you guys with what they're looking for as far as scheduling for that SWAS, and we can look at the schedule.
Yeah, we gotta get
Okay.
some eyes on it.
Just if nothing else, just to see what the heck it looks like, having spent hours looking at it on a plan.
Right.
Years.
It's always
Eager to see that.
interesting to see them turn mud into reality.
Right.
I think we got all these gray hairs.
I hear you.
Not me. My hair hasn't changed color since this project started.
You were born that way, weren't you, Dave?
Yeah, that's right.
Beard and all.
Exactly.
I started growing this beard in 1963.
All right, man. No need to change now.
That's right.
All right, well, that's pretty satisfactory. That's a pretty good report on them.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't
Um,
think I have anything else. I mean, if you're ever, like I said, I think I said before, if you're interested in looking at everything, or if you want to see kind of what we have, or you're interested in looking at some of the reports, I'd be happy to send you a link to give you an idea. I mean, I can show you really quick. I know we're at the end of the meeting, kind of what they look like. But just to give you,
Yeah, I just want to make sure that like our clerk of the works, the person that we're hiring, like is reviewing this stuff. He's on
Yes.
site. He's, and
so this
in
is,
agreement with some of this stuff and isn't finding anything that these folks are just trying to pass the buck on.
no, so this is what they give us for every single day. It talks about rainfall amounts. It says who's doing them, and then it gives us this project compliance. They give you the notes from their inspection, and then they give you the photos which go along with all of it. So you can see kind of where they are. So we have one of these for every single day that the project is in operation. So these get uploaded. We have one for each day. They get uploaded on a weekly basis to a shared folder. So the clerk of the works has access to these as well, and they review all of those. And then they go on the property and do inspections as needed. And then they provide, let's see, new share, CHA.
That's pretty good.
So then they provide their own inspection reports, which show the same thing when they were on site. And they take photos of all of their reviews based on anything they've noted within their, so these are the mats, blasting mats that are on the property, topsoil, et cetera. So we have folders and everybody can see everything. So both agencies are reviewing all of the inspection reports. And every Monday I get confirmation that the reports have been provided.
Okay. That seems pretty satisfactory to me.
yeah.
Well, I think they got to this point and we made it very, very, very clear, both in the approvals, but also in the execution of our agreement with what the responsibilities of Love's was and F&O, that now is not the time to drop the ball on this. And everybody's been very responsive. Site contractor's been very good. Haven't had any issues. Public Works has found them to be very responsive. Anytime I have a question or an issue, they take care of it. So it's gone as good as we can expect at this point.
Okay.
Right. Now, if you were to send us a link, is that link is public or is not public?
I would have to basically send like a shared link right to based on your email addresses, because the folder themselves are I mean, we're almost at half a gig at this point.
Yeah.
Because the photos and stuff. So if you wanted that, you can just send me an email and I send you a link back for your specific email address.
Well, the question I was asking is this material in this folder public or not?
If somebody requested it, we would give them a paper copy. If they wanted to see a copy of the inspection report from last week, we would provide it to them, sure. It's just not something I can email because they're so big.
Yeah, okay, so if somebody came up to me and said, I hear you've got the link to that folder, I'd like to look over your shoulder when you're looking at it, would that be a yes or a no?
Yeah, I would say that there's no issue with that. I mean, it's all a public record.
Right, okay. But I know the Conservation Commission was really interested in this.
In the inspection reports?
Well, in the whole project.
Is that something they can request from you in the planning department?
Yeah. If somebody wanted to look at something, like I said, we could provide them. I mean, they could go through all the inspection reports and look at them. But because of the way that we're sharing information between so many agencies, this shared folder is the best way to do it, so that when these guys are on site, they can pull everything up and it's all synced with, because we have 3 inspectors for the clerk of the works. We have, there are at least 2 inspectors at this point from F&O. We have the site super, Tom Bowen, who manages the project, who's on site every day, and myself. And so we have, 6 to 8 people that need to access these files, and they're constantly changing.
Right.
But we could easily print things out or whatever. If somebody was interested, they just have to come to the office.
We use a very similar system where everything's kind of like live, up to date. So like one person like puts in a note, it's live, like right there, it's synced up like immediately. Pictures, everything.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. So like when FUS sent their email this morning, we uploaded everything. CHA gets the same note, so they can see everything instantaneously, and I don't have to email anything. Nobody has to remember to check this and copy that person. Everybody has links that work no matter where they are.
Yeah, it's good. It's lifetime.
Yep, and we can get it from anywhere, so I don't have to be sitting in the Willington Town Hall like just now. I can hit that immediately, so if something comes up, I can pull it up and I can review it. So it's been working very well.
That's good. That's good. Technology,
Yes.
advancements.
Quite a
Yes.
thing.
Paperless office. Okay,
That's great, Mike. Thanks for the update. I think things look
Yeah.
like they're going pretty smoothly, and
yeah.
so far so good, I guess.
All you have to do is ask them the right question and the floodgates open.
We aim to please.
Okay, shall we move on to, I'm assuming there's nobody here for public comment because all of us here are part of the program. So we'll move on to the next item agenda, which is the one that Mark always likes to do.
I like the
Adjournment.
second.
Hmm?
I like the second.
You don't want to be the adjourning motion?
No, not at this time.
How
You do
about
such a
hear
good
from
job,
Chris?
Dave.
I mean, Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background? What are you doing?
So I just recently graduated from Central Connecticut State University. I studied geography and planning and GIS. So I just graduated in the spring. Did some work with East Hampton this summer. And I'm also working for Connecticut Resource Conservation and Development at the moment. So kind of this is my first municipal job, getting my foot in the door. And,
Nice.
looking to learn. So
I see you have a guitar in the background. Can you give us a
Oh.
little serenade before
Yeah,
we
right.
sign off here?
A little stage fright tonight. Maybe next time I'll prepare something.
All right, you better.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
as
How old are you
you
good at?
probably figured out, we're fairly informal here.
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion to adjourn the Inland Wetlands Watercourse Commission for the town of Willington, October 25th, 2021.
I'll
Mark?
second that. Got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody wants to, everybody wants to go home. We'll let it go.
Well, it's good seeing y'all.
Okay, well, it was nice talking to you guys.